Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
So before we start our main topic, let's tackle about a brief history of sewing machine. The first successful sewing machine was invented on 1830 by a French tailor named Barthélemy Timoner. So this is Barthélemy Timoner that invented a sewing machine that used a hook needle and one thread, creating a chain stitch.
1945, an American inventor invented a sewing machine, and his name is Elias Howe. And his invention is the most successful sewing machine, namely as the lock stitch.
Hi, good afternoon. Today we will talk about the different sewing equipment. So what are the different sewing equipments? So first is the different types of scissors. So a dressmaker shears. So what is this dressmaker shears? So it have a long blade, making them ideal for cutting fabrics. So this kind of shears, it is very ideal for cutting fabrics or different types of fabrics that you want to cut. So next is these scissors have taper blades. So it has a taper blades with one pointed, one rounded, and a blunt tip. So this blunt tip prevents the fabric from snagging on seams and threads. So it also has a handy point for clipping and notching curves. So blades have knife edge also. So the blades of this have a knife edge. So what is this knife edge? So it simply means that the top of the blade can cut an acute angle. So you can allow them to cut through fabric easier than a normal scissor that we use. So this is very easy to use shears when you are cutting in acute angle. So next is a tailor scissor. So what is a tailor scissor? So this tailor scissor is a great choice for those quilters, sewers, and also crafters. So this scissor cuts through heavy duty materials. So you can use this for heavy duty materials. So what are the different heavy duty materials that you want to use this kind of scissor? So first is leather, and also the different or the multiple layers of fabric. So you can use this kind of scissor with ease, or you can use it easily to those heavy duty materials like leather or multiple layers of fabric. So the thicker blades features precision ground knife edges that can cut all the way to the tip. So the smaller length of this scissor make them more portable and can easily into your sewing bag. So you can put this in your sewing bag so easily because it is very handy. And also it is perfect for those sewing classes or quilting clubs. So next is a pinking shears. So what is this pinking shears? From the word pinking shears. So these pinking shears have serrated blades. So what is serrated blades? It can create a zigzag edge as the fabric is cut. So when you are cutting like if this is your pinking shears, when you cut it to the fabric, it will leave a zigzag. So like this, okay. So these shears prevent the fabric from fraying and unraveling along the seams. So the serrated edge grips slippery fabrics while cutting. So the bent handle design makes it easy to cut on the tabletop or other flat surface. So next of it is an embroidery snips. So embroidery snips. So these kind of snips have a fine pointy tip snips are designed to get close to the fabric. So from the word get close to the fabric, you can use this to cut in the surface or close to the fabric without damaging it. So the handle of this have no loopholes to stick your fingers, just unlike to the scissors that you can put your two fingers into the hole. But this kind of scissor or snips, it has no loopholes. So you just pick it up and aim and squeeze. So just like using a tweezers. You can use it like a tweezer. Okay. So these snips features curved blade that's perfect for getting as close as possible to the base of the thread without damaging the garment. So the snips have featured curved blade. So if this is a snip, okay, the edge of that is curved. So when you cut it into the fabric or on the surface of the fabric, it will not damage it because of these features that is curved blade. So it is perfect for getting as close as possible to the base of the thread without damaging the garment. So next of it is an applique scissor. So what is this applique scissor? It is used to cut or trim close to the fabric while protecting it from damage. So this scissor also, you can use it to cut or trim close to the fabric also because of its features or appearance. Like you can use this for rug making. So the paddle-shaped blade pushes away the bottom layer of the fabric for flawless controlled cuts. Close the stitching. So this, as you can see, that this paddle shape pushes away to the bottom layer of the fabric. So for flawless control, you can use this and you use like that. This kind of paddle shape will push away so that it will not damage or it will protect it from damage to the garment. So next is a measuring tape. So that's all for those different kinds of shears. So next is or scissor. So next is measuring tape. So what is a measuring tape? It is a long thin piece of plastic, cloth or metal that is marked with units of length such as inches or centimeters, and that is used for measuring things. So it is very common to us with this what we call measuring tape, because we can use it in different types of projects, and also you can use this for finding your length or height, just like that. So you can have a perfect units of your height. Or you can use this in we call this, you can use this for dressmaking, because you want to measure the length of your fabric, if it is correct or it is enough for your cut or for your designs that you want to use. So that's all for my part.
Needles. A needle is a very fine, slender piece of metal with a point at one end and a hole or eye for thread at the other, used in sewing. Next is pins and pin cushion. Pins are used all the time in sewing projects to hold patterns to fabric temporarily, hold seams before stitching, and for basting layers together when making a kilt. A pin cushion is a very small cushion that you stick pins and needles into so that you can get them easily when you need them. The other one is the iron and water sprayer. The water sprayer function on your steam iron can be used to help iron heavy fabrics or difficult areas like collars, pockets, sleeves, and creases, etc. The water spray function can also be used when ironing delicate fabrics which cannot be steam ironed. Iron is used to flatten up shirts that is messy. Next is thimble and threader. A thimble is a small pitted cup worn on the finger that protects it from being pricked or porked by a needle while sewing. A needle threader is a device for helping to pull thread through the eye of a needle. Many kinds exist, though a common type combines a short length of fine wire bent into a diamond shape with one corner held by a piece of tin plate or plastic.
Okay, so let's talk about thread. Thread is a tightly twisted strand of two or more pieces of yarn that are circular when cut in cross section. It is used for hand sewing or home sewing machines. 95% of all sewing thread that is manufactured is used in commercial and industrial sewing. Okay, next is rulers. It has 5 different types of rulers: L square, ring ruler, curve ruler, curve runner, and French curve. Rulers and sewing are so important for the perfect fit and shape of any garment for home furnishing. Even if you are an absolute beginner sewer, you will need to measure seam allowances, hems, and markings. Some sewing patterns even just give you measurements for rectangular pieces. Next is pattern weights. The main purpose of pattern weights is, as the name suggests, to weight down your pattern pieces. So when you are tracing or cutting a pattern, instead of having to take time to pin the paper to the fabric, you strategically place the weights on top so that pattern piece is flat and then trace or cut around the edge.
Seam ripper and tweezers. A seam ripper is a small sewing tool that is used for cutting and removing stitches. The most common form consists of a handle, shaft, and head. So as we look closer to this picture, obviously it is what we call the handle. And this one is the head. The head is a fork one side longer and pointy, and then fluttering out of the base, it becomes the blade. The end of the blade usually covered by a small red balls. How to use it? It is simple to use. The longer pointy side of a fork is usually inserted into the stitches and lift it upwards so that it will slip down into the blade and be cut. There are 2 common sizes of seam ripper, the small and large, and the blade do dull all over the time. Therefore, if you are struggling to cut threads or stitches, it is time for you to replace seam ripper. Tweezers. Tweezers used for grabbing tiny threads while sewing and embroidery. So it is also a small sewing tool that is used for picking 2 small objects that it could be easily used by our human fingers. Next is the friction pen. Friction pens, there are the lines and pens highlighters made by Pilot that are heat erasable. Quilters have launched into the friction pen as a great way to label or demark quilts because it easily disappeared with heat. All you need to do is to iron the fabric and the markers will disappear, something that is too easy to good to be true. Next is the tailor's chalk or the chalk. Tailor's chalk is traditionally hard chalk used to make temporary markings on a cloth or a garment. It is a thin, flat piece of hard chalk or soapstone. It could be the tailors or the seamstresses used for making marks on a cloth. The question is, does tailor chalks easily wash off or the marks of it will be easily disappeared? Well, the true tailor's chalk made actually by wax. White never leave behind any colors. It comes off when ironed. Though sometimes it will leave behind slightly darker marks, but usually it could be removed by dry cleaning or like batik.
Lint ruler. A lint ruler or lint remover is a roll of one-sided adhesive paper on a cardboard or plastic barrel that is mounted on a center spindle with an attached handle. The device facilitates the removal of lint or other small fibers from most materials such as clothing, upholstery, and linen. Next is sewing gauge and binder clips. A sewing gauge is a ruler, typically 6 inches long, used for measuring short spaces. It is typically a metal scale marked in both inches and centimeters with a sliding pointer, similar in use to a caliper. Sewing clips are used super easy. You can easily slide them under the edge of the fabric to hold in position, and they don't distort the fabric. The clips easily hold multiple layers of fabric, especially thicker fabrics. Tracing wheel. It is used to transfer markings from sewing patterns onto fabric with or without the use of tracing paper, and can be used to make a slotted perforations. Such markings might include pleats, darts, buttonholes, notches, or placement lines for appliques or pockets. So, that's all for today. This is not a goodbye, but see you soon. Thank you.
Parts of sewing machine. Spool pin holds a spool of thread. Spool pin are most frequently located either on the top of machine or near the back on the right hand side. This arrangement allows the spool of thread to stay out of the machine sewing mechanism and permits easy access for the machine user. Bobbin winder spindle help to wind the thread on the bobbin and help to distribute the bobbin thread evenly so that it will be compatible with the tension of the top sewing machine thread. Bobbin winder stopper stops winding the bobbin when it reaches capacity. Automatically stops the bobbin from winding when full. Stitch width dial controls the width of your stitch. It is used to create a zigzag stitch.
Hi, I'm Clark Lawrence G. Mensidor from VTLD 1A. So, these are the parts of a sewing machine. First, pattern selector dial. Turn the pattern selector dial to set the symbol of the desired stitch pattern. On computerized machines, stitches are usually selected on a menu screen. Stitch length dial controls the length of the stitch. Shorter stitches for finer fabrics, longer for heavier fabrics, basting and gathering. Reverse stitch lever. The machine will sew in reverse while the lever is pushed, depending on your machine model. This may be a button. The last one is hand wheel. The large knob on the right side of your machine manually raises and lowers the needle. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello guys, I'm Aquinolo Claret, and today I'm gonna report the parts of sewing machine. Power switch. The off-on switch is usually located on the right side of the machine, beneath the hand wheel. So the picture, there is a black button, and that is power switch. Bobbin winder thread guide. A thread guide used when a bobbin is being wound. So the picture, there is a red arrow, and that is bobbin winder thread guide. Thread tension dial controls the tension on the top thread. If too tight, the bobbin thread appears on the right side of the fabric. If set too loose, the needle thread loops on the underside of the fabric. So the picture, there is white arrow, and that is thread tension dial. And lastly, thread take-up lever. The top thread passes through the thread take-up lever. It moves up and down with the needle. So in the picture, there is a black circle, and that is show us thread take-up lever. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy.
Next is the needle clamp screw. It is a collar and screw device that holds the needle to the needle bar. The needle bar is the part that goes up and down as the machine sews, and also the clamp holds the needle in place. Next is the presser foot. When lowered using a lever on the back side of the machine, this foot holds fabric in place, and also it is used to hold the fabric flat as it is fed through the machine and stitched. Next is the bobbin cover. It is also covers and protects the bobbin holder while sewing. And also it holds the bobbin snugly in place, which will allow the machine to really unravel and also adds tension to the button thread. Next is the bobbin cover release button. It releases the cover for access to the bobbin, and also the button that slides to the right to remove bobbin cover plate and allow access bobbin case.
So, feed dog. So, I have a question. So, how do sewing machine feed dogs work? So, sewing machine feed dogs, guys, it has a metal teeth. So, makikita mo yan sa picture. Para siyang metal teeth, like ridges that emerge from a hole in the throat plate of a sewing machine. So, ang feed dogs, guys, move as you sew because it gently gripping the bottom fabric to help it pass through the sewing machine and nagaproduce ni siya og high quality stitch. So, ang the feed dog pulls fabric forward while sewing. So, next is a needle. So, ang sewing machine needle, guys, it is a specialized needle for use in a sewing machine. So, ang needle, ginagamit ito for hand sewing because makikita nyo sa picture, it has a long, slender tool with a pointed tip, at one end, and sa taas yan, it has a hole at the other. So, kambali, ang needle pushes the thread through the fabric to form a stitch. Yay! Next is the needle plate. So, lahat ng sewing machine have a needle stitch plate that is set over the main workplace or workspace kung saan ang presser foot and needle are located. So, isa sa mga purpose sa kaning plates, guys, is to cover the bobbin area of the machine. Yeah. And aside from that, ang needle plate man good, it has a kaning smooth surface for fabric to slide across easily, and yeah. So, basta ang needle plate kanang makita ni siya sa all sewing machine because ang needle plate is removable metal shield inset into the work surface of your sewing machine because it covering the bobbin area. So, ang needle plate kambali nagaserves ni siya as a guide to help as you sew. So, that's all. Thank you.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.